Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching or listening to us from. This is another episode of the Naija FC podcast. As always, I'm your host, AyoT, and I'm back again with my reliable co host.
Smith Layi. Thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you very much, guys, for joining us once again. And as always, we have an exciting episode for you. We have lots to discuss. But for this one, we want to kind of focus on, I think, probably the biggest news that has come out of Nigerian football in the past week. Um, if not the biggest, I think is the one that is potentially the most impactful to our national team, the Super Eagles. And I'm talking about the news that head coach Jose Peseiro, has finished his contract with the nation, with the national team, and is going separate ways from the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I mean, Peseiro is a man that, when he got this job, was criticized by many. A lot of people felt like his credentials, he didn't deserve the Super Eagles job. It took him a little bit of time to really get firing. And we just saw at the AFCON where he took us to our first AFCON final since 2013. Unfortunately, we lost that game against Ivory Coast. I think objectively speaking, we can all say that it wasn't a very good performance in that final against Ivory Coast. Some people think, oh, he should have done better. Some people think, he did good by taking us that far. Smith, like, first of all, what's your reaction to the news that Jose Peseiro is no longer going to be the coach of the Super Eagles?
Well, thanks you once again for actually having me. I wasn't surprised that Jose Peseiro will make that announcement because the contract was actually that it's going to run out at the end of February. So that's actually what expected that news from him too. So I wasn't surprised, but I just realized that it's another it's a start of another dramatic event because
Mm.
despite him announcing that he's no longer the coach of the Super Eagles, you know, it's just you still expect another episode because don't
Mm.
count him out of the job yet.
Hmm.
So I wasn't surprised.
Okay. And I would say let's talk about something that has been going on social media and across different platforms. The man announced his, tenure over, and I would say, it was mixed reactions. There are people that are saying, "Oh, I wish he had stayed." I personally said I wanted him to stay for continuity's sake, so that he can continue building what he's building. And a lot of people, maybe the same amount, maybe more, maybe less, were saying, thank God, we're so happy that the man is going. He didn't know anything. Some people said, oh, he's a clueless coach. Some people said he's a lucky coach. You know, how are you surprised by this reaction that despite him taking us to the final, there are so many fans that are celebrating the fact that he's not going to continue? Are you surprised by this?
Yeah, I would say I was actually slightly surprised, but because of the nature of of us, in Nigeria, everybody's a
Mm.
coach, so I wasn't surprised too on the other side because basically, a lot of people complained that the way we played, we didn't play fancy football, we didn't play the champagne style of football that you are used to in
Mm.
Nigeria, but he's getting results, and these guys criticizing him too, we're celebrating. So
Mm.
it's when it didn't go well in the final, when you actually were lost to Ivory Coast in the final, and that's when everybody can now come back and pick out, oh, he didn't do well, he did do this, he did do that. But when we won the semi-finals, when we won the quarterfinals, when we won this second round game, when we beat Ivory Coast in the group stage, a lot of people celebrated the win.
Mm.
So, it's just that because it's just because he lost the final. That's why you see that the enemies are now coming back now.
Mm. I mean, I would also say for me, same thing, surprised but not shocked. I'll put it that way. I thought people would have more appreciation for him. But it's Nigeria, man. We said it on previous episode, but the hardest people to please. Something that I found very interesting is that a lot of people were referencing, oh, but the games that he lost in the friendlies, the games we didn't win in qualifiers. And I mean, I'm a young guy, but I've been watching football since I could understand what I'm watching. And football has always been and is still continuing to be, what have you done for me lately? That's the kind of business that football is. But somehow, people ignore what the man did for us lately and they pick on the things that apparently did not go well. The games we lost in friendlies. And just to give people context, Jose Peseiro's record for the Super Eagles of Nigeria was 22 games, 11 wins, 4 draws, and 7 losses. And again, to put it into further context, some of those losses, I'm like, I don't know, like, he lost his first game, I think against Mexico was his first game. He lost 2-1. In that game, a lot of the players at the AFCON were there, if we're being fair. Terry Murphy, Moses Simon, Aribo, Alex Iwobi, Calvin Bassey, Shemi Ajayi, Ekong, all started that game against Mexico. But we also had Ciro Desas, who isn't a part of the team recently. We also had Innocent Bonke, who has not been a part of the team. Chidozie Awaziem, who was unused practically throughout the tournament except one game, started that match. Uzoho was the starting goalkeeper. On the bench, we had players like Sani Faisal. We had players like Victor Mbauma. We had Chiamaka Madu, Ishak Kayode coming off the bench in that game against Mexico. The other players on the bench were Adewale Adeyinka, Olorunleke Ojo, Ibrahim Buhari, and Bello Babatunde Martins. I'm sure some people that are watching or listening to this now don't even know who some of those players are. So it wasn't like Osimhen, everybody in DD, everybody played that game. He lost 2-1 against Mexico. His second game was against Ecuador. We also lost that game 1-0. Same thing, the Ajayis, the Bassis, the Ekongs, Simons were there, but Sani Fasal started, Awaziem started that game, and it was pretty much, Olaino came off the bench, Dennis came off the bench, Mbauma came off the bench. The other people I mentioned were also on the bench in this game. You fast forward to the next game that he lost, friendly against Algeria, friendly against Costa Rica, and then the biggest defeat was the 4-0 defeat in the friendly against Portugal.
Sorry,
Other
I just
than that,
read something. I don't think he was in charge of the friendly against Costa Rica.
oh right,
Yeah, I think it was.
okay, yeah,
I think it was Paul Aibogun that was
yes,
in
because
charge
that
of the
was
team.
when the home base players
Home base
played.
went to play.
Yeah,
Yes.
so he wasn't in charge of that game. Thank you for pointing that out. So other than that, the other losses that he has are against Guinea in the pre-AFCON friendly, which I don't even know if we're supposed to be counting, and then in the AFCON final against Ivory Coast. Those are the games that he lost. He drew games against Equatorial Guinea. He drew against Lesotho,
Sorry, before we
Zimbabwe.
continue, I just want to point out something. He
Okay,
lost 2 competitive games.
just 2 competitive games. Yes. He drew, I was coming to that, but he drew against Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Equatorial Guinea, and in a friendly against Saudi. That friendly against Saudi, no being Kosam. We're not going to say who caused it, but we know what made us draw that game against Saudi. So, like you mentioned, he lost only 2 competitive matches. But people are talking about the friendlies as a reason for him being a bad coach. And I find it interesting. Somebody even said, oh, Eagle Striker is doing PR for Jose Peseiro. I say, how? And they're like, oh, that why are we? And I'm like, it's a difference of opinion. Because for me, I do not understand how somebody took us to a final of a competition. In all the competitive matches that he had, he did well in most of them. Yes, the 2 World Cup qualifiers against Lesotho and Zimbabwe were not good results. We admit that, but we didn't lose. And then all of a sudden, we use his friendlies as a reason to let him go. I don't know. Have you ever seen a club that they lose friendly before the season, then they sack their coach when season never even starts? They say, he has lost too many friendlies. So I found it very interesting. But what do you think about that and the way Nigerians analyze his performance as coach?
I just want to bring out one stat. Since 19 okay, let me just say since 1960 that we've been having coaches. I'm picking the records now of coaches that played more than 20 games for Nigeria, not those that play 5 games and go. I'm picking the record now. Those that coach more than 20 games for Nigeria at a go. Peseiro, I would say, have the second best record, the third best record in Nigeria, behind Gennett Raw. No, Votanoff is the first, followed by Gennett Raw and Jose Peseiro.
Can you give us, do you have the percentages of all 3 of them?
So the percentage by points, the PPG, the points per game for Jose Peseiro was 1.68
Okay.
for after 22 games. For the late coach Stephen Keshi, the points per game for late coach Stephen Keshi here was actually just trying to like put that one up. I got it result somewhere. So 1.65 after 49 games.
Mm,
So Barcelona is slightly what ahead. And also Gennett Raw after 54 games, 1.74 is ahead of Pacero.
mm,
And coach Clement Westerhoff after 24 games, which actually was more than that, the points per game actually was 1.75. So
mm,
Pacero is like third out of, in rankings. And these guys I've mentioned spent, for example, now Westerhoff spent like 1,800 days, in charge of the national team.
mm,
So compared to the time that Jose Peseiro actually was spent, so we know that he might not be playing the best of football, but results speaks for him. So if you look at in our history in Afcon, how many Afcon tournament do you think that we had 4 consecutive victories?
mm,
4 consecutive victories. You will know that like it's a winning, like what's it called? This form is like a winning form. But it was just unfortunate that what happened in the final, happened. The rest they say now is history. So I think
mm,
that Nigerians will never please Nigerians. I can tell you. In fact,
mm.
people are still clamoring to bring the coach that was in charge when Nigeria failed to beat Ghana in the World Cup qualifier. We seem to forget. It's less than 2 years that this thing happened. But we want to bring out that coach again. We were in pain when Tunisia, we lost to Tunisia in the
Mm.
second round of the AFCON, when the coach stood there without knowing what to do. So I don't just know. And the funniest thing is this: if you bring a man now and he lose a game, we shouting, see Nigeria shouting, "Hey, bring back Pacero, bring back Pacero." That is our nation. That's
Let
why
me
I said in the previous episode that we can't please Nigerians.
let me ask you a question about that. Because I was under the impression that Nigerians cared about winning.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
now, in the way people are judging Jose Peseiro, it appears that people care more about the style of play than the results. You know, is this something that, and I understand, you are used to a certain way of playing football, you are used to a certain style, but the number one thing in football is a winning game. At the
Mm-hmm.
professional level, all that matters is if you win or you lose.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it a surprise to you that Nigerians seem to be so worried about the style that he was playing at the AFCON? Because we also
Mm-hmm.
have to put it into context. He wasn't playing like this before the AFCON.
Yes.
So, are you surprised that Nigerians care so much about the style that he played at the AFCON versus the results that he got?
So for me, I think that I said it before that you can hardly read Nigerians' mind. I can tell you because
Mm,
sometimes if we did not play well, what's it called? There was a coach then, Demezue, may God bless his soul. He was playing the champagne style of football, that the flamboyant style of football, and he
mm,
wasn't doing well. They say you shock him. They say football without purpose. Now we have what's it called? Philip Troze played this 3-4-3-2. He said he didn't do well. No, he qualified for the World Cup, but because we were not playing attractive football, they sacked him. We went to the World Cup, we failed. So if Nigeria win this AFCON, I'm pretty sure nearly half of those complaining about the playing style will not complain.
mm,
It's because they saw what happened against Ivory Coast. Things didn't go according to plan. That's why most of them are actually out now. Majority will not come out if Nigeria is champions of Africa,
mm,
because football is about winning. No matter you win ugly, you win good. Winning is
mm.
winning.
Yeah. And I will say something, a lot of the comments that I've seen as well, one thing that people are talking about is, oh, Nigeria is supposed to have one of the best attacks in Africa or even in the world. Players like Osimhen were not at their full potential in the AFCON under Jose Peseiro. And, I understand where people are coming from. Osimhen had to work hard, had to track back, had to fight for every possession, had to fight for every ball. I understand where they're coming from. But at the same time, I think what people are also not realizing, and I know it's because they love Osimhen so much that they are blinded to a lot of things. Osimhen could easily have been tied with Emilio Insue for top goal scorer at the AFCON
Yeah.
if he took the chances that came his way. If Osimhen had scored I'm not even talking about the half chances. I mean the ones that you say no, you should have scored.
Uh-huh.
If Osimhen scored all the ones that he was meant to score, he would have had like 4 or 5 goals at the AFCON at least.
Yeah.
But they don't see that. They see the other things that happen to Osimhen, him tracking
Mm-hmm.
back, him working hard
Mm-hmm.
for the team. And do you think the coach can say, what are you talking about? The team still created enough opportunities for Victor. Do you think the coach can say that, or do you agree that he stifled the quality of Victor Osimhen?
This football, like I told you earlier, that we have so many managers in Nigeria.
Mm,
In fact, we created countless of opportunities against Equatorial Guinea. That you will not bring Jose Peseiro in to come and score the goals.
mm,
But people are still complaining that this team did not create opportunities. If the goal that was disallowed against Angola, that would be 2-0 Nigeria. How people a different game? But people say, you beat Angola 1-0. The same Angola that drew against Algeria. The goal against Africa that was brought back after Alassane Yusuf,
yeah.
mistake in the box. That would have been 2-0. So things would have gone differently in those games. The Cameroon game, if Ajayi one was counted, it would have been a long night for Cameroon that day.
Mm,
So people did not look at these few things. There's some things that coaches can do in their capacity. Well, for me, the players too have to give their best. I know I'm not faulting any player, but I think Jose Peseiro did what he should do.
mm,
But I just think that Nigerians are not really fair to him, and I think that set of media did not actually really like him. So that's one thing at ICC, and they are the one trying to project, a lot of things, try to actually say different things that it's not possible. It's not. It didn't do. So for me, I think it's just unfair. Nigerians see this AFCON as a failure, and I don't see it as a failure.
mm. I mean, I also don't see it as a failure. We got to the final for the first time since 2013. I don't understand how people will see that as a failure. But of course, everybody has their own opinion. Just to round off very quickly on this topic. Okay, now looking forward, looking ahead. We've heard rumors, we've heard reports that Augustin Eguavon is going to take over as the interim coach until the NFF are able to hire a permanent coach. Do you have any confirmation of this? Is this true? Is it confirmed?
There's no official statement about this, but normally because he's the technical director of the
Mm,
NFF, so he's in charge of football. So anytime there's a vacancy, naturally he's the one that have to step in. It's
mm,
okay and make sure. So it's not as if they appointed him. It's just the one that after actually was stepping and make sure that there's no vacancy. So, but you will not deny that there have not been ambitions too, because I will tell you this thing, and it's not hidden. He said it on Super Sports that he wanted to coach the Super Eagles again. So
mm,
so after the Ghana loss, he said he still wants to coach the Super Eagles again.
mm,
So for me, I think that if you give him the job, he wants to actually was to stay there. He wants to be the head of this what's it called, the Super Eagles. But I will just reserve my comment now until you ask me further questions about it.
mm. Okay, and I guess I would just ask, to look forward, into the future. Um, so many different names now are being touted. People are saying Siasia, people are saying Amunike. Some people said Sunday Ulisse. Some people said Finidi George, who's an assistant under Jose Peseiro, or was an assistant under Jose Peseiro. And then some people are calling Herve Renard, the French women's national team coach. Some people are calling for Pito Mosimane, the South African coach that's currently with Abha. In your opinion, who would you like to see? If Jose Peseiro is gone, who would you like to see take over the reins of the Super Eagles?
Let me just start with a guava. You know, um, I don't want to say too much, but we saw what happened against what's it called, against Ghana. I don't have anything personal against him, but I don't think that he's a coach anymore. I think he's more of like administrator. I think his situation was similar to Ralph Rangnick, the coach of Man United before, that lost contact with football for so long, and he was brought back from administration to come and coach Man United. Clearly he lost track of everything. So for me, I don't think that Eguavoen is a coach anymore. I don't think that the ambition is nothing. I think you forget it. And there's this thing that is very funny in Nigeria. If we played a friendly game now, maybe against a team this match, and we won the game, they will say, some people will just raise one opinion, try him against South Africa. Try him against South Africa. So maybe we now did not do well against Africa and Benin Republic. It's that they will now sack him again. And we start looking for a different coach. That is what is one thing about Nigeria. And if he performed well against South Africa, he actually beat South Africa, some people will be lobbying to retain him as a coach. From there, you see that there is no vision somewhere. There's nothing. So, I just think that, I don't trust the NFF to choose someone that, is is capable candidate. Because I know how long it took for them to extend Randy Wardrum's contract, just to extend. It took long, negotiations, everything. So that's my opinion. People have mentioned Siasia. People still judge Siasia based on how he performed in the Beijing Olympics and also Holland 2005. See, the player that he coached then don't retire. John Mobi Mikel. So that's a long time ago. And Siasia too, it's not as if Siasia did not have his opportunity to coach Nigeria. He coached Nigeria in 2011. We failed to qualify for the AFCON. People forgot that. He coached Nigeria in 2017 too. Was it 2017, 2016, 2017 or so, when we were trying to qualify for the AFCON? He also failed to qualify. 2017 AFCON. He also failed to qualify twice. So I think that, there's a big transition between coaching underage and also coaching the main national team. It requires man management, requires special skill. So that's me. And Siasia too has not been in touch with football for a long time.
Siasia is still under FIFA ban for at least another 2 years, I think.
Yeah. So for me, in my opinion, I think that we should not be talking about Siasia for now. And people also mentioned Sunday Olise, that is in football, is part of the FIFA, what's it called, technical study group and everything. When last did the coach train a single player? When last did he train a single player like this? So, sometimes too, we have to look at that one. You have to bring someone that that, okay, is active. It's not someone that that, is active and come actually do this job. People have also mentioned Iman Amuneke. Amuneke, Nigeria is not Tanzania. You don't expect Tanzania to win games. In Nigeria, you are expected to qualify for the World Cup. You are expected to come and dominate game. You are expected to get results. So sometimes coaching underage, coaching coaching underdogs and coaching favorites is different too. I remember when they brought in Samala that is from Bolton to go and coach Tottenham. They now expect a lot from him. They forgot that he was coaching relegation, escaping relegation. But when they expected him to do more, I think he can't do it. He didn't perform well. Yeah. So in my own opinion, I just think that we need to think carefully before we actually select our next manager. People talk about Finidi. He's coaching currently with Enyimba. But if you have watched Enyimba of recent, you will know that there is nothing, I can't really see any really coaching impact on this current Enyimba team now. One day good, the other day bad. I remember, so for me, and the last one you mentioned, Pizzo Mosimani, I watched his interview on Super Sports. He said that he's interested, but he cannot discuss Nigerian job now because what? Jose Peseiro is the current coach of Nigeria. That was when we were going to the AFCON. He said that, and I quote, who will not like to coach Chukwueze? Who will not like to coach Osimhen? And no. Now ask him a question further. That will you be happy to deny South Africa the World Cup ticket? He said, why not? Why not? That is his job. But well, that is a story for another day. But for me, out of all you have mentioned, I think Pizzo Mosimani is better than the one you've mentioned. It's at least it's coaching.
Yeah, and
It's not been out
I
of the
will
game.
just give my opinion very quickly. I also think Pizzo is the best option. I'm someone that I've said it so many times. I'm a proponent for active coaches that are actively plying their trade, that are actively working on their game. I find it too annoying how so many Nigerian coaches they just sit in their houses, sit on their butts. Maybe they are doing something online, I don't know, but they are not actively coaching. And then they just feel like they have a right to be in the running for the Nigeria job whenever it opens up. Because, oh, I've done this in the past with so and so team, or I've coached Nigeria in one day or the other, or oh, I'm a class of 90 something, or I'm a Nigerian football legend. And I don't think that's how we should work at all. It should be those that are actively coaching that are in the running for the job. And I can understand. Maybe sometimes you take a year off, you take 2 years off, depending on the circumstances for your family, etc. But you have to be active. We have to have seen what you've done for us lately before we can say that you deserve the job. For the Jose Peseiro that a lot of people are criticizing, and are not happy, we're not happy with, and are happy that he's gone now. If you compare his credentials, if you compare his activity in football to those that people are now telling the NFF to employ or are now championing for, he has better credentials than those people. I would say Pito is the one that stands out. We know the quality that he has. We've seen what he's done in African football. Of course, national team would be a different challenge altogether. But based on the names that we've heard, I think he'll probably be the best option. And just to answer your question, the last time that Sunday Olise coached was in 2022, when in June he was appointed as the head coach for a German fourth division club, Strahlen. He was appointed in June 2022, and he quit the job in August because he lost 5 matches out of 5. So that's the record of who some people want to be the Super Eagles coach. I won't say anything else about that. Hopefully the NFF, even though I don't trust them, hopefully they can make the right decision and Nigerian football can continue to move forward. The World Cup is a big one. I want to go to the World Cup. I've been saying this, so I want the Super Eagles to qualify. It would be a shame for us to miss out of back-to-back World Cups. But yeah, Smith Layi, any final thing to add before we end this one?
So I just want us to look for a place in our heart to love Jose Peseiro because he loves Nigeria. If Jose Peseiro has been smiling too much to your girlfriend, please don't forgive him. And I will say something again. Jose Peseiro has laid a very good foundation. He wants to build on it. I'm not really sure. None of the players came out to actually say that, oh, thank you, see you later. You can see, no, none of them see someone say, because they know that he might still come back to coach them. Jose Peseiro is the favorite to be Super Eagles' next coach. I will tell you. Please love him. The guy that that wasn't defending before, he defended. Don't worry, we attack. Don't worry. If we attack that, you'll be jumping off your feet. Don't worry. And this Nigerian team will qualify for the World Cup.
All right. Amazing. Thank you very much, guys, for watching and listening wherever you are tuned in from. As always, it's been a pleasure. My name is AyoT and my co-host is
Smith Layi, thanks for joining.
Bye bye, guys.